Photography of Light played earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing an interview with him because he has a film that we're going to release to the YouTube channel, which we're going to discuss. So whoever wants to stick around and listen, let me know when you're ready, Misha.
Yes.
And also, I guess we should just take this off and do the same thing, right?
Should I be out there in the darkness?
Come out of the darkness.
Nah, stay out there.
That could be funny. Yeah. We also, Jeremiah wrote a Substack essay for us that's fucking brilliant, which we'll probably put out tomorrow. We could talk, we'll just save it for the talk.
Whatever makes sense. Or not.
You got the frame? Okay, we're here with Jeremiah M. Carter, a filmmaker whose film we just screened, CL Biography of Light. And he has a film that will be coming to our YouTube channel. So why don't we start with that? Let's talk about Sometimes I Hear the Light Leak Through the Corners of My Room. Did I get it? Which we screened maybe like 7 months ago. Not at the Schrader screening, but at, I think when Kyron was here.
Yeah, somewhere.
Kyron Karagulian maybe.
That's right.
Screening 10 maybe, or 9 or something like that. Which the film we played is taken from footage that didn't make it into the cut.
Yeah.
And that film also is kind of like a film diary, I guess, maybe. I don't want to limit it or categorize it.
Sometimes I Hear the Light Leak as a film diary, or
in a way, it has a semblance to it.
Sure. I mean, I guess for me that just implies that there's an intimacy to it, which is important to me. And the films are, I hate to say structured, or the intention is for the audience to finish the film, so it really is up to you what it is. I'm glad that it feels like a diary film for you. Yeah.
We're feeling all my secrets. There's a line in the film, which I'm not going to get right intentionally, where the concept of love comes up. What is love made of? If you could talk about that and that theme of love that pervades the film, unless that's just also in my unconscious and I'm projecting it into the film.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak.
We don't really need the mic because everything's being recorded into the live.
Yeah, but it feels so official with the mic.
There we go.
You know?
Yeah.
Wielding power now.
That's true.
As I speak about my philosophy of love. No, I mean, it's... wait, start it again?
There's a line that says, what is love made of, not love? Something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't know what love is made of, but I know it's not made out of love.
There we go,
and
yes.
This kind of circular nature of it. This substance that is both ephemeral and everything at the same time. I mean, there's kind of this ineffable quality to love, right? And that is why we're drawn to it. It's, in a sense, maybe a carrot on a stick for some, but also the reason for life for others. And I think that that's what that character is speaking to. I mean, you're really kind of already digging into the fact that I try and listen to the characters. I'm not so much like imposing a philosophy that I have on top of them. So I think that that's what she was thinking about. But once again, it's, you know, it's also for you.
So how that film happens, it's taking place in, I guess, Brighton Beach, Coney Island area.
Yeah.
Which you used to live there. I don't know if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm not there anymore, but I live. Well, let's not get too much into biography, but yeah, I live there.
Okay. So how did this? So you just said you listened to the characters as if, like, you know, this is almost like a documentary, like you're capturing real people.
Yeah.
So what was the method in constructing a film that I just, if I could just quickly say a little praise. You know, the thing about the film is you don't really, you know, for me at least, you're not really latching onto the narrative. It works almost like music where, and you said it's circular, the film feels circular, you know, the shots of the subway towards the beginning, with the way, I mean, Izzy is your cinematographer. I mean, it's brilliant photography. Izzy Long. And then at the end, we end also on this looking out through the windows, and I don't know how to describe that. The reflection of the lights with the window, looks like it's two images imposed upon each other. Yeah. So how did you go about constructing that just almost intangible or very difficult to articulate kind of film.
Well, for every closed door, there's also an opening, right? So there isn't an end to anything but another beginning, I think. And this is true of any of these things that are mystical, unexplainable, once again, ineffable. So maybe that's the nature of love in a way, these kind of opening and closing of doors. Yeah, I didn't write it to be circular, but that's how it found itself in the edit, which is another part of the writing process, of course, and you know, filmmaking is an editor's medium. So it kind of found its structure there, I guess, or what you could conceive of as a structure in the aftermath of what you're receiving, I guess, yeah. Sorry, that was the question was too long for my 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. brain. But
yeah, that's fine. Your answer
there was something interesting toward the
question.
beginning about narrative that I'm missing, that you mentioned.
Well, I said you spoke about the characters as if these are like real people.
Yeah. Well, there is a reality to them, of course, right? I mean, that's what the camera does, and sound is capture reality. Or maybe capture isn't the right word, but there's a reality that's generated through that.
In true underground fashion, our camera died at this very moment, and thus fulfilling Jeremiah's wish to participate in this interview from the shadows. Instead of the shadows that are the absence of light, the rest of the interview will be conducted within the virtual void of zeros and ones, and perhaps by gazing into the nothing, it will be easier to hear the light leak in through the corners of the room.
And I think that when you are kind of creating this puzzle or pieces that you're assembling to make a film, writing, of course, is a part of that, but it's still another stage in which you're doing a lot of listening, I think. And you have to listen to the characters, and you have to listen to the environment that they're in, and you have to listen to how they interact with each other and what their footsteps sound like and how they sound when they're eating and things like that. And those are informative of the characters. And then those become these kind of abstractions that you start to find in cinema, I think, which are really interesting to me. What not only small things, but how a small thing inside of a larger thing, this kind of connection from the microscopic and the macro world interact with each other. That's something that all of art has always done, but cinema has a particular approach to that I find speaks to me. Yeah.
So for a film like that, what does it look like? You know, what does because so you write a script. What is this? Let's start with the script. What does the script look like for the film, for that specific film?
Yeah, for that, and they're always different, but because a script is, you know, it's the beginning stages. It's how you find who's interested. I think it's a really good kind of template for enthusiasm for people, and each one takes on a different format. So with Light Leak in particular, and with the film that you showed today, there was no script, and then with Light Leak, it was, I think, maybe a page long, like a page once you downloaded it into a PDF, but really there was maybe like, I don't know, I'd have to look at it, but maybe 12 lines or something like that. It was mostly describing what was happening in the bedroom, and then everything outside of that was kind of just thoughts that I had. But that film really formulated itself when Pam Torres, lead actor, and I met. And it was also from observing her. We had coffee a few times, and she asked me what I was working on, and I said, I have this idea, which I didn't have. And then I went home and talked to Sarah, who produced it. And I said, I think we should work with this person. I don't have anything. I'm going to write something tonight because I already told her I have this thing. And so there was observations from her and things that I was thinking about that kind of made this movie happen. So yeah, it was very short, and she was very adventurous to go on this, and a lot of, you know, then it becomes more about these conversations that you're having, and we had one day to shoot, but we added on, you know, a few moments here and there. Yeah.
So the one day to shoot, what is that? Because I'm assuming it's for a film of that nature, the ineffable quality that it has. it's hard to do it in the conventional way where you have a shot list, or is that the way you did it, where you have a premeditated idea, or is it almost like, we're just gonna roll and find it in this organic way?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's an organic nature to all of it, right? I mean, the great thing about film is that you're collaborating, and there's a collaboration, but you're not only collaborating with the actors and with your DP and with the sound recordist, but you're also collaborating with, the room or the weather. For example, it was raining the day that we shot the interiors, but Izzy lit it in such a way beautifully that it looks like morning light, and that's but because of that, we could only have one camera outside on this balcony, and we had to tarp it, and it took up half the day to do this thing. And I see that as collaboration, and that's the kind of like organic nature of things. So, but to be prepared for that, I think shot list and mood boards and all this, depending on who you are and what project you're working on, can be helpful things. For me, I think a lot about it, and there's a lot in here. And I do write a shot list, but also the script is kind of a shot list in a way. I tend to write very literary descriptions of things and then see what people can draw out of it and what interests them, I think the more information you give people, the more willing they are to collaborate with you, because there's kind of a filled canvas and you're trying to draw things out of it. There's not a lack of anything there. Yeah, so I'm interested in what people draw out of this filled canvas that you're creating. So I think whatever comes to you, throw it out there, whether it's a shot list or, like I said, mood board or sounds or music. There's a lot of music on set. Even though the goal is to have less and less music in the films, I think. Find the rhythm in the composition of the film. Yeah.
Why is that? Why less music in the film?
I mean, there's a million reasons.
Break it down.
It's not that interesting. It's just that music is great. It's very direct. And it can be very controlling, and it's difficult to use because of that. Because you can manipulate the audience, and I'm not interested in manipulating the audience. I want to augment and add to these perspectives that exist. But yet, you want to use it because it's so great. It's this tempting thing. So I feel like I always have this kind of tempestuous relationship with music, and aiming towards finding that musicality within the edit, within the words, within the shots, within the camera movements is a goal that I hope to achieve one day, but we'll see. Yeah.
Amen to that. Yeah. No, there is something about it's I don't know if it's a crutch or, when you're cutting together a rough cut or something, and you put temp music or you take that away, and sometimes the scene feels naked, and in a way it feels like music could almost cover up the imperfections, or at least what you might think you're afraid, this is not really gonna hold together for some abstract other person out there. So
I think of it similar to when there's a bad performance, right? It's not that the actor isn't doing a good job or that the words aren't right. It's that something fundamentally is wrong. I talk about this a lot with people who ask, like, oh, how do you shoot it on film? Like, you must not do very many takes, etc. For me, if something takes more than 4 takes, it's just not working, and it has nothing to do with that relationship. It has everything to do with the world around it. So I think that's why I like playing with music on set, because you get to see if things are working with the music or without it already before you get to the edit, and that's trying those things out. Because it's very much like working with actors, I think, and working with your DP, because the camera is, has a character as well. So don't wait for the music to show up too late.
So what do you make of the filmmakers who are notorious, not to name any names, and obviously now it's in like the ethos of filmmaking? Let's like the hardcore auteurs, let's do 50 takes until everybody's on the verge of suicide.
I've made a couple of short films. We don't need to criticize how other people go about it. It works for them. It works for them. I'm talking about like what I've found in my own experience.
It's a very different way of framing the way you're seeing it is very different, that it's not a flaw in the acting, but there's something on a deeper level about the specific scene or something. The essence of something isn't working.
Essence is a good word because I think that there's a soul in there somewhere, right? And you're unveiling it. And you're working towards that unveiling. And to believe that it just doesn't exist and you have to create it is just not how I see art functioning today, or ever, maybe, for me. And maybe that's just the hot coal that I was dealt from God or something like that. And maybe other people's past is different, but for me, at least right now, yeah, if it takes more than a couple takes, then I've really fucked up somewhere.
So you just mentioned God and your films, in my opinion, there is something religious in them. And you've mentioned mysticism before, and we've bumped into each other a number of times, and it seems to bleed out of you every now and then.
Yeah.
We played another brilliant film, which recently screened elsewhere, right?
She Drank Vinegar.
She Drank Vinegar, which is an incredible piece of work.
I think the last screening was in Tbilisi, Georgia.
Yeah, I saw on social media.
Subsequence, yeah.
So that film also we screened at the Underground, has many religious elements to it, and or spiritual, whatever these words mean. But let's start with God. So not to get into the whole thing about believing in God, but when you say mysticism, spirituality, which I think is sort of rare. And I'm not, obviously it's a gross generalization. But I would say overall, of course there are great filmmakers that we all bow to who are known for being religious or spiritual. But it does seem that amongst, this generation of filmmakers, it's not that common. Not saying that's a bad thing. It's just unique that that's something you draw from. So what does, to put it into a question, when you say spirituality, mysticism, God, what do you mean by it? And how do you use film as a vessel or vehicle for these lofty ideas, I guess?
Yeah, this is a great late night conversation. We're getting into pillow talk now.
There we go. We just need some shots. And,
For me, I say this all the time. I think God's presence is obvious, and I think as artists we feel it the most. Whether you articulate it differently than I do, I think most people feel that. They can call it their spirituality, they can call it Christianity, they can call it Judaism, they can call it, Hinduism, whatever it is. For them is not my business, but I'm not afraid to speak of this kind of divine presence that enters into the work. And I think that for me, the quicker I admit to that and begin to accept collaborating with that, not the easier the work gets, but the more fluid it becomes, and you get more in touch with your intuitive side, or at least I do. For me, movies are very much the memories of God, I think. And you're kind of walking through that, shifting perspectives in that way, in the same sense that I think they're very close to dreams. And it's an act of hagiography a lot of the time if you're interested in character. And you're working with a set of tools to open up the world to the world. Yeah.
What are your memories of God? That's a great line right there. We should I don't know, clip that or something. What do you mean by memories of God? It's a very poetic phrase. But.
Well, there's this subconscious that's always at work, whether we're awake or not, right? There's Cormac McCarthy talks a lot about this. So there's these voices, or not even voices, but these kind of things that are working in the background or somewhere in your interior at all times, and sometimes they come out and sometimes they don't. And my kind of description of that to engage with the divine has a lot to do with this kind of sense of memory, because there's a reality to memory, right? Which is that you can, people can change, people can make judgment, people can manipulate, people can bring joy through memory. And I think that these are things, and if you look at a kind of less linear sense of time, then you begin to see them maybe as these gifts from God. these memories. Once you are kind of stable in the present, how does a memory operate? And I think that sound and image is a great way to explore that. And sound and image together, of course. Which maybe is another reason why going back to music and things like that becomes difficult. Like, is the music entering the film because it is necessary or because it's obscuring something, you know? Yeah.
Let's just try to keep the door closed. Like, if you're out, you're out. Getting harsh right now. Okay, wow, I needed a second to digest all of that. Would you say that you came to the divine through film and through art, or is it did you already, in just before you even touched the camera, would you say you already I don't want to harp on this and destroy your career or something.
No. I think it's fine to talk about as long as there's not too much biography. I don't want to have to describe my childhood to tell you how I got to, because that has nothing to do with the films.
Of course.
But I do think God has something to do with the films for sure.
Understood. So I know you were working on a feature film for a while. And that also dealt with, it was sort of like, in some ways similar to Wim Wenders' Wings of Desire. If you could tell us about that, and where's that at?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a kind of cursory explanation, I guess, because it's not done. I'm still editing it. But it's about, it's a very simple story. It's about an angel who comes to Earth and she discovers a camera. So she walks through the world with a camera, and that she experiences both distance and intimacy because of that camera. And I'm still editing it because there's a lot of footage.
Oh, wow, okay. How long did you shoot that for?
We shot it over 3 years.
Wow.
Here and there. It was very, very small. It was something that kind of started as something I would do to fill my time while working on, I hate to call them like larger projects, but things that were more concise and required, we're going to shoot for 2 weeks and that's the beginning and end of production and da-da-da-da-da. And I needed something to kind of play with. And so because of that, I, for better or for worse, wrote, it definitely was co-written in a way, and then also, but there wasn't ever a script, and then directing and shooting it and doing a lot of the sound as well, and working with close friends as actors, and just finding time when everyone with their busy lives could do it. So shooting of that is done, and it's editing it is happening. And then I'm leaving for a scouting trip next week, so kind of gearing up for another feature, but that's a more contained
different feature.
Yeah, that I would say is more about love. So I guess I have two interests that maybe relate or don't relate, but God and
maybe
love.
You can make like a loose trilogy or something out of these films.
Yeah, maybe that's for the critics, I guess, not for me to do.
There you go.
Yeah.
I guess let's why not include our underground denizens. If somebody wants to chime in, ask a question, make a comment.
I
feel like Yossi wants to.
The films, or are you pretty hands-on with the post-production? Because I imagine these pieces to come together.
Yeah.
So like, don't have to. It's not like you hands on the script.
Yes, my first 2 short films I co-edited. And then the 2 that you've most recently shown, Sometimes I Hear the Light Leak, and then the little diary film, Coney Island one, I edited myself. The Angel film, I believe that I would like to invite an editor in at some point. I think I love editors. I love the editing process. I also do all my own sound design as well. So they're merged, right? The sound and the image and how you edit them. Yeah. They have to kind of happen at the same time for me, which is why I have to be engaged in post-production and edit in the same way that I am. I still go to a studio and refine the sounds and work with the sound mixer and all of that, but
The building blocks are there.
Yeah, but sometimes sound happens before image for me. So so it's best if I'm there. To the annoyance of editors sometimes, because I'm very much like an over-the-shoulder driver when it comes to that. Luckily I work with all my friends, so it's pretty easy to. Yeah, they'll deal with you when other people wouldn't.
Okay, let's wrap it up with one last thought. So you've made quite a few films now in relatively short amount of time, it seems. You seem to be really cranking them out. And extraordinary pieces of work that are they're quality films, and which is very hard to do. As a self-proclaimed filmmaker, it's very hard to get all the people together, get the money. So a more mundane question for the other filmmakers out there: How do you? You said you're embarking on another feature. You're semi-finished a feature. You've made a few shorts now. How do you do it on a practical level?
I love how the most mundane question is the most complex and elaborate one. Because I like that about movies and art. Keep it simple, and then you can do a lot. I don't know. I get up every morning and I want to make a movie, and then you find people that are meeting you there at that time. I think it's good to allow things to introduce themselves to you, but then also work towards what you want at the same time. Yeah, I don't know.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah, please do. Help me out.
I'm not sure have a very famous joke or quote. Let's start the fight and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
So when you're in the fight, you're already in the middle of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's probably everyone who's still here makes movies or does some kind of art, right? Like I imagine that it's the same thing for everyone. It's what you do. Yeah. It's what you do. There's no other option. I can't imagine. It's strange to me, this idea of a hobby, I guess. But I think most people feel that way. Hobby is like a word that someone else imposed on other people later on to convince people to, work for free or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there are other ways to convince people to work for free. That's the real secret to getting films made. Well, I guess to maybe make
I think I've just been lucky. I hate to use that term, maybe. It feels, even saying that, I haven't really done as much as you say I have. It's very little.
Don't be humble, brother.
I think it's not about quantity, it's about quality, right?
Of course. I think perhaps what I said didn't come across clearly. What I'm trying to say is that for a lot of filmmakers, you meet so many filmmakers who come through Film Underground screenings, who really, they have the same attitude. I'm going to go do it. But of course, and I understand what you're saying, obviously, you're right. That's ultimately what I do as well. You just take the camera and you go, and then miracles happen.
Okay, I see. Yeah, it's not. You do have to care. You do have to give a shit too. You can't just go out and just film anything.
Right.
I think this is the big lie that we've been told, right? About take your cell phone and you can make any movie and blah 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 blah. Educate yourself. Be interested in what you're interested in, and care about it every moment of every day.
Yeah.
And then the work comes out of that. It's not, if you need a schedule, make a schedule for yourself. If you need to not have a schedule, don't make a schedule for yourself. I mean, it all comes from you, and that's the great thing about what we do, is that it's so it's personal, but it also, you're working with other people. And I think people gravitate towards that, and you also gravitate towards that as well, I mean, you have to let the work, once again, speak to you. You have to listen to it. It's out there waiting for you to help it, and it's going to help you, and there's other people, because you need other people during filmmaking to do that. I love when Jarek Jarman said that he loved making films because he liked spending time with his friends.
Yeah.
And you see the work that came out of that, and then he even made super, films that were just him as well. So yeah, it's like, give a shit, but also don't put too much pressure on yourself. I don't know. But hey, it's different for everyone. That's just
for sure. Unfortunately, you do meet filmmakers and just in general artists who find themselves, locked in a trunk, or I mean, obviously I'm joking, but they go through hell sometimes. Whether it's to get, I'm not talking about compromising your morality, but there are a lot of nefarious figures out there who exploit artists and stuff. And obviously it depends. If you're making a short film where you don't really need much financial backing or infrastructure. But the reality is all film requires that on some level, on some skill. Even just to do the sound mix or whatever, you need somebody's studio. There's always some people, and sometimes you get lucky where those collaborators are kind and endearing. But unfortunately, you meet a lot of good-hearted, sincere filmmakers who have something to, I don't like that word, or that phrase that people like to say, have something to say, but I guess like you're saying, actually care, are educated, have concepts or ideas that they're intentional, they know what they're doing, and nevertheless they end up, they find themselves in somebody's apartment duct taped in a closet. You get what I'm trying to say?
That might not, maybe it doesn't work for you, but it might work for someone else. We're not here to discern what is good and what is bad, But I do think that as far as like what you're saying, like speaking about limitations, right? Work within your limitations. Those are actually your advantages, I think, the limitations that you have. And I'll bring it back to God, and then I'll shut up, which is, in quotes, Simone Weil, if anyone's familiar with this Christian mystic. But she said, limitations are the expression of God's love. And I think that those limitations that you're presented with are what you need as an artist. They make you decide what is necessary. And when you start making those decisions about what is necessary, something potentially beautiful can come out of that.
Well said. Even though I lied that was the last question, just in that vein, I understand that we're just little figures, insignificant figures in this big world. So obviously it's a little cheesy to bring this up. But I ask this to a lot of the guests who come to the underground screenings, to give some words of hope. Things seem to be rough out there. Maybe they always were rough, and now we just have access to it more. But a lot of people it feels like there's a mass depression because of everything that people are seeing in the news, both in the film business and then, of course, the world at large. And there's a lot of nihilism, I guess, as a result. It's hard to find meaning. So I guess how to this is maybe not necessarily, doesn't have to be tied to film or art, but what would you say is the meaning of life, or how do you get through life? And maybe the answer is what that meaning is, with everything that's happening. You don't have to answer that.
Yeah, I'm not a philosopher. I'm a filmmaker, and I'd like to stay in my lane. So I can't tell people.
I know you're a philosopher, my friend.
I can't tell people how to live their lives or where the meaning is, but find something that you enjoy and do everything you can to do it every day, I guess.
Okay.
And also, like, the world is fucked up. Let's just put it out there. We live, I don't want to placate that, because there's a positive and negative energy that exists to have the world operate, and it doesn't justify one or the other, but those things exist, and you're not gonna, I don't know. I don't know how I deal with it every day. I'm surprised that I wake up. My dreams are much more fun.
Well, maybe that's why you bottle them for all of us,
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Bring your dreams to life. That's how you avoid the nihilism.
I would say that a lot of films are very nihilistic. You see a lot of that, a lot of very grim and great work. But your films, even She Drank Vinegar, which has a very dark element, it feels very dark in some ways. there is a hopeful element there in all the films that I've seen.
I'm glad. Makes me happy that you take that from it. I have my different feelings about how I feel about them, but they're not for
We don't reveal
anyone
that
but me.
to the masses. Okay.
Well, it's just it's the audience finishes the film. I think that's always true, and it's best to keep it that way.
I agree.
If you tell someone what your meaning is for something,
and you
it becomes an interesting conversation if it's two people that just saw a film. But if it's someone who played a part in it, then you become didactic and you're attempting to.
I agree.
You're stifling what the work is supposed to do. So it makes me very happy that She Drank Vinegar from the River was hopeful for you.
Well, as a little interviewer, I'm just this is you got to figure out a way to extract.
Yeah.
But I agree with that code. I know my favorite filmmakers are like that as well. To never explain the work because it immediately just, I guess, it dilutes it in a lot of ways.
I think where stuff like these conversations and interviews and whatever else become interesting is that they can be inspiring for other people.
Yes.
They were inspiring for me, and I like contributing back to that. I think it's a well that we all drink from, but yeah, it doesn't necessitate the explanation of work to do that part of the process. Yeah.
You heard that, kids? Okay, well said. This was great, Jeremiah. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
It's like 11 right now, and we're all very tired.
Now everyone's awake after that. Everyone's ready to go home and pray now.
They're gonna go to church now.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks for coming, bro.